Today I just wanted to talk a bit about what my plans are for this van build and my reasonings behind certain decisions that are not necessarily what is maybe what other people would do with their builds. Certain decisions are based upon our experience of converting my Mini Cooper into a camper and also the Land Rover Discovery into a camper, and spending time in those situations and what worked, what didn't work, and what we've been able to take away from those experiences and find a solution for certain problems. So for my van build, it has to have a certain amount of, it has to have certain things in place. We found that a foam mattress is neither use nor ornament. I think it would work perfectly fine for people who are very petite, but if you are on the heavier side, you find that the foam just compresses so much that it basically feels like you're almost sleeping on the plywood that the foam is rested upon. And I've tried using thicker ones and it has the same effect. If you have heavier weight pressing down onto one particular point, basically your hip bones is the big problem, is hips. So if you've got more weight in your hips, you have a higher amount of pressure pressing down on that one point on the hip bone, and it's just too painful. The first night is okay, you can kind of get by, but the further through the week that you go, the mattress starts to compress more and more, and it just becomes a terrible night's sleep. And the one thing you want when you are away and you're, say, walking on the hills and you come back is a decent night's sleep at the end of the day. If you're not getting good sleep, that's not an enjoyable trip. So the decision I've made this time is to have a proper sprung mattress in the van. What I plan to do is buy a small single mattress which is 2.5 feet wide. A standard single UK mattress is 3 feet wide and a small single is 2.5. It's what you would use for, say, a child's bunk bed, although the bunk beds that my sons had when they were younger were a standard single size. You can get narrower ones. So a small single, 2.5 feet wide. Now admittedly that's going to take up pretty much half of the width of my van, but it is vitally important that I have somewhere comfortable to sleep. Other things that I consider essential for my van are somewhere to cook indoors. We live in the UK and that's where I will be planning to travel. I don't have a current passport, so within the UK, and UK weather is notoriously bad the vast majority of the time, unless you're in the south of England in July. So a lot of these smaller vans have pull-out camp kitchens at the rear end of the vehicle. Great if you are in Spain, fantastic. If you're in California, probably great as well. But in UK, when I camped in the Mini and I had to cook outside, I couldn't get water to boil for my coffee because it was just too cold and windy. Admittedly, I was in Shetland, but Scotland, wind, rain, it has to be indoors. Somewhere to cook indoors. I also need the ability to go to the bathroom in the actual van. I don't want to be on campsites the vast majority of the time, so that limits you on where you can go to the bathroom. And I don't want to be caught short in the middle of the night and have to exit the van in the middle of nowhere in the dark alone. Everything has to be contained in the vehicle. So I plan on a compost toilet situation. Probably something very basic with like a lined bucket with a separator system for wets and solids, and the ability to put them in, like have compostable materials in, and you can tie it up and basically treat it like you would a children's a child or an adult nappy or diaper, which is basically would go into general waste the same way that you would if you changed a child when you were out and about, or if you were an adult that wore adult, I don't know if they're called nappies or diapers, but the same sort of situation. So we treat it the same way, as long as everything is kept dry with a drying out material in that, then that is what you can do. Obviously, do not do what some people have given van life people a bad reputation and dump waste in ditches and unsuitable places. don't do that. Don't do that. That's not good. Another good place to get rid of waste if it's bagged is in the dog mess bins that are quite widely available in the UK, especially in places like places you would park up to go for walks and such like, and that is a perfect place to put them as well. Going hand in hand with that is I need the ability to be able to wash my hands after having used the bathroom. So instead of just having a water bottle at the back of the vehicle like we did with the Land Rover camper, I want to have an actual sink with a waste water and clean water system. And what I will use is that sink for hand washing, but I will also have a collapsible washing up bowl that I can fit into the sink to wash dishes, so that I don't have to worry too much about the fact that I'm using a bathroom sink and a kitchen sink in one. They won't. They will be a bathroom sink, not literally a bathroom sink, but a sink that's used for bathroom purposes, for hand washing and face wash, like washing, brushing your teeth and such like, and also a washing up bowl for food use. The other thing that's very important to me personally is safety. I will be travelling on my own for pretty much all of the time, although I will make the ability for John to come with me if possible on rare occurrences where we have someone to animal sit the homestead. But I'm going to be alone, and camping away from a campsite, safety is going to be a big focus as well. I want a panic button. I want a panic button where I can slap it in the middle of the night and loads of lights come up on the outside of the van and scare away somebody who's messing around with the van in the middle of the night. I don't want somebody fiddling with my locks. I want to be able to press a button, go bing with all the lights, completely night blind them, startle them, and be able to jump in the driver's seat, switch off those lights and drive away quickly with as little problems as possible. So a panic button, lights, and potentially I would like to replace some of the panels in the van with windows, especially on the back doors, simply so I can see out in the night and see what's going on from inside the back of the van, rather than having to just look around the passenger and driver doors in the front cab, which will be curtained off from the back of the van. So let me show you on paper roughly what I have in mind, and it is roughly because things are going to change and evolve as I go along. I have an idea in my mind of what I want, but I haven't kind of finalised things like the measurements and structural parts of the components of the van, and I haven't figured out like what I'm going to be cladding my van with and such like, but we'll give you a general idea of the layout that I have in mind. So I'm going to do a rough sketch, and my drawing is rubbish, so you will have to use your imagination. So if I just do a rough outline of my van, and this is not to scale. So this front section is the cab, and I will pretty much be doing nothing in there. I want it to look like, if you look in there, you will just think it's a works van. So yes, there will be a high-vis jacket hanging on the back of a seat, or there will be, I don't know, some random bits and bobs in there that makes it look like a builder's van. Other than putting new carpet mats in there, nothing will change. It currently is divided from the main back of the van by a metal bulkhead divider, and I'll be removing this. They're not legally required in the UK, and I don't think they are in Ireland either. Some countries in Europe require you to have a bulkhead if you have a van that's not classed as a camper van, and because it is notoriously difficult to get a van changed over to camper van on the logbook in the UK, I won't be bothering with that. So if I was to go over to one of the countries that requires a bulkhead, you can actually put a small like a I'm not sure, like bars or something above the driver's seat. So basically they're so that if there was anything in the back was to slide forward if you braked suddenly, that you wouldn't kill the driver. So you have to have some sort of framework above the driver's seat, but that is way down the line. So I'll be removing the bulkhead and replacing with, I suspect, thermal lined curtains. So I have my driver's seat on the right hand side because we are UK, and I have my passenger seat on the left, and we have driver's side. Driver's side is there. I have sliding doors at both sides of the vehicle, and I have double doors at the back, one smaller than the other. My plan is to have a fixed bed behind the driver's seat with a proper mattress, like I said. Because I don't need to adjust my driver's seat, I can place the mattress here on a platform and it will be perfectly fine. I don't have to faff around with it, and with it being a fixed mattress, I won't be putting cushions together to make up a mattress or anything like that. I'm potentially going to have a slide out from underneath the mattress so that I can extend the bed to make it slightly bigger if John was to come away with me, and I will just use extra fill-in cushions to fill the gap. But that is, again, it is further down the line. The sliding door access at the driver's side, therefore when you open it you will see part of the bed, but you will have all of the storage under space underneath the mattress that we can access, which will probably be used as a garage space. Things like toolkits, things that you don't really need to access from inside of the van, very, very rarely. From the back of the van, underneath the mattress, will also be storage of some description, either a pull-out drawer or something like that. And then when we come to the passenger side seat, I eventually plan to put a swivel pad on it so that you can swivel the passenger seat around so that you can sit in it like an armchair with your legs into the back of the van. For the rest of the space at the passenger side, I plan on having kitchen cupboards down this side, potentially overlapping the sliding door partly, but I'm not 100% sure. It depends on how much space there is access here. Although it has sliding doors, they are small in comparison to something like a large transit van. I plan to have enough space between the bed and the kitchen cupboards so that you can put your feet completely straight. I don't want no sitting like a penguin having to put your feet out. It's just not comfortable. So either there will be enough space and have narrow cupboards at this side. The other option is to have the bed platform triangular shape underneath. Let me try and explain what I mean. So say if this is the mattress looking side on, and here is the bed base that it sits upon, you could have the cupboards underneath sloping away backwards so that there is more space here for your feet. Again, not so comfortable because you have to have your knees bent to be able to do that, but if it's maybe only an inch or two that's extra space that's needed, that would be a possibility too. I plan on having, like I said, a sink probably at this end so that there is access probably in the side of the kitchen cupboard here to be able to access for water and waste. Just by reaching around you can put water bottles in and such like. And then here I plan to have a movable box cupboard situation with a cushion on top, and this will be my compost toilet. So when you lift up the lid, the toilet will be underneath, and then you can put the lid back down, cushion on and what have you, like a foam pad, and the toilet will be underneath here, and this will make it easy in the night to be able to access to go to the bathroom. It will also be easy access for emptying from the side of the van, not literally out of the van, but to be able to take bagged up waste and put it straight into bins and such like. And also if it's movable, it can be put down here out the way if needed. It can be moved close to the door in the middle of the night so it's away from the bed, but it can also be moved away from the door access if you need to. It can also be removed if it wasn't needed as well. I don't plan on having a fixed stove. If the rules were different in the UK for converting to a camper van, I possibly would. You used to be able to get them converted on the logbook based upon certain things. You had to have a certain amount of windows and a fixed cook stove, and stickers on the van that suggested it was a camper van rather than just a works van. Now they're so strict that even if you do all those things, it doesn't get passed. So there's no point having a fixed stove, so I will just be having a regular camp stove that takes the butane bottles. Is it butane? The gas bottles that just go alongside. I have 2 of those, so I can choose whichever one I prefer, and maybe I will get some little gadgets that go on top of it, like a toast maker and such like. But that will be the basics for the layout. So hopefully that gives you an idea of the plans that I've got in place for the van. Obviously certain things will evolve along the way. I don't know how big a bed platform that I'll be needing to build until I've bought the actual mattress to go in there, and until the insulation and the cladding is on, I won't know the measurements for the proper internal dimensions of the van and how much space I have to play with for kitchen cupboards and such like. All I know is, at the moment, for definite, is I want to add sound deadening to the panels and the wheel arches. I want to use sheep wool insulation for the panels and such like as well, rather than like polyfill type insulation that tends to be quite popular. I won't be using a water barrier for the van, because it won't be getting used for living in, it will just be for holidaying. And there's a big up and down as to whether having a vapor barrier is good or bad. It has its pros and cons. I've decided to go without, and I will talk about that more when I come to do that part. Other than that, I want as much wood in there to make it as cozy as possible without making it feel too dark. And yeah, I just want it to be cozy. It will be dark in there until there are windows installed, but windows are not a top priority before I can actually use the van. Being able to have somewhere to sleep is more important than having windows in the panels. So priority will be getting the van to a minimum usable stage before adding extra bits and pieces on further down the line. So thank you for watching my video. I hope that gives you an idea of where I'm heading, and I hope you'll follow along with me, and I will show you each step of the way as we go. Next stage will be finish clearing out the back of that van and removing that bulkhead, and that will create so much more light in the back so I can actually see what I'm doing. I'm really looking forward to seeing what the space looks like when it's completely opened up. And yes, so thank you for watching, and I will see you in my future building and even more future down the line adventures. Thank you. Bye bye.